Welcome back, everyone, to Brokers of Secrets. In this episode, man, I think we need to hear from you, your very special background. And our guest here is not only a martial artist, but also someone who's able to train other owners and other business owners how to grow their business in the martial arts space and beyond.
Yep.
So, Adam, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, but do not be humble.
Yeah.
Absolutely do not be humble, right? Just brag about yourself in because people deserve to know you like in a way that's completely authentic. So
Sure.
Don't hold anything back if you would.
Yeah, I think if you're going to know me, like the thing I have to brag the most about is honestly my relationship with God and being a father and a husband. And that's where most of my passion for life and peace comes from.
That's awesome.
And then I do businesses also. So I've been doing martial arts since I was 3 years old. My parents went to martial arts school when I grew up, and I was sort of pretty much born into it. What you call a dojo rat, where I just like lived there like 8 hours a day and would train nonstop. When my dad retired, I managed my brother's martial arts school for a little bit, and then got an opportunity to go work for one of the largest fitness franchises in the country. They brought me out there for like a customer service management position, which I had never done before. And then they saw how well I was doing with a marketing brain, because marketing is like one of my passions. So they ended up having me take over the entire marketing department for 300 and some locations. And that's where I really cut my teeth in digital marketing, became obsessed with people like David Ogilvy and Eugene Schwartz and Claude Hopkins and all the OG marketers. And then that company went through a restructuring, and I just sort of saw the writing on the wall. And I also at the same time, got a great opportunity to come out here to Arizona and take over an existing martial arts school. And then I moved out here, created a marketing agency, created a consulting firm, just sold the agency. So that's off the plate now, which is awesome. So
Congrats.
Yeah, so now I'm consulting. I'm in the middle of writing a book right now, navigating that new thing. And just loving what I'm doing.
I still sense that you're being too humble. Even though I don't know your background that well, but I can see it as you're talking. I'm like, this guy's being way too humble.
Maybe.
Tell us 3 things that the audience need to know about you without any filter, without being extra humble.
I hold myself to an extremely high standard. So I'm probably the most self-critical person in my own circle.
Okay.
I've scaled multiple companies to 7 figures and beyond. It doesn't bring the satisfaction that you think it would compared to other aspects of life. And I just love what I do. I love martial arts. I love marketing. I love starting businesses, selling businesses, all of that. So I'm fortunate to be in a space where I'm passionate about what I do every day.
I think if you're listening or watching this, when someone's really accomplished, they often sound like this. They make what they do that many other people can't do sound very natural, which is awesome, right? Because that's mastery. So first off, welcome. Thank you for coming. And I know that it's an unusual format when it comes to podcasting, because instead of an interview, practically I'm like probing with questions, right? And I'll tell you the agenda so that the people that are watching and listening for the first time, or maybe pretty new to our show, understand what we do. So basically, it's a process that I want to show the audience how to understand oneself or someone else and their map, their construct in the mind. Because no humans really experience reality. They experience the construct that's built on the so-called reality. And that construct is inside of us, and we can actually change it. It's easy to change it. However, it's the single most limiting thing as well if it doesn't evolve with our goals. And so a good metaphor is if you and I go to New York City and I gave you a 1980s map, we would both get lost.
Sure.
Right? Like some stuff will still be right, but most things will not be. That's how most people live their lives. But when it comes to high performers, oftentimes they find themselves having like a 2010, 2012 map. It works like 80, maybe even 90% of the way, depending on the city. But the last 10%, that's where the magic, the gold is.
Agreed.
And so being able to give someone the 2026 map, which really isn't from me, but it's through this discovery process, we can begin to restructure and optimize the existing map and add in certain things, remove certain things. And of course, everything will be done with love and respect. There's nothing that I'm going to do that's like that you won't know.
Sure.
I'm pretty much going to explain every single step so the audience can see and you know what I'm doing. There's only one question. Are you okay with me asking questions and then?
Of course. Yeah. I'm an open book. So
awesome.
Ask away.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And, frankly, we've had such wonderful people that have come on the show that not only are you guys open and the audience love watching this, but usually, actually, I don't think usually is the right word. Like, I think every guest that's come on, really intelligent people, they've worked hard. They know how to work hard. They know how to build. They've achieved a lot of success. And many of them have sold their businesses and you just recently had an exit. And a lot of the people that come on are still, hey, there's going to be another level. There's going to be another level. They are never the type of people that will stop growing, right?
True.
So when they come on and we're just looking for an opportunity to update their map, because let's say, again, we go to New York, instead of asking you to do more, work harder, sacrifice time, well, if we just got a new map, the navigation becomes easier.
100%.
So it's not so much the person that has to change, but it's the map.
I love that analogy. That makes a lot of sense too. And I think that probably helps a lot of people to bring down their defenses when you're working with them, because they see it as a character flaw a lot of times.
Oh man, just the map
That's
makes
awesome.
it real easy, right? And the time that it takes and the effort it takes is very minimal. Like you just buy the map or you get the map, like whatever, right? When you go to a city. So I have, my first question is always like, if you could do anything next, because I know you've done a lot already. And with even the brief, we didn't know each other at all before today. But the first thing out of Brady, our friend's mouth was, Adam has done so much, right? He's extremely accomplished. And usually it's not just listening to what someone says about you, it's watching their expression of how they introduce you that tells me a lot. So I'm curious, given that you've done so much already, what's next? Like if you could do anything, what's next?
I think we're starting that process already, which is writing this book.
Okay.
I think my overall passion is I want to teach people how to hear from God. That's because that's something that I had to learn out of necessity when I got to a low point in my life. And it brought me out of the low point and realizing that there's a two-way relationship with God and it's not one way, and teaching others how to hear the voice of God.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, imagine saving people from having to get to a low point to be able to experience that. Mm-hmm. What's after that, if I may?
After that is putting on more spiritual focused events, and just helping people that are going through struggle to find purpose and realize the calling that's been put on them.
Backtrack real quick. What types of martial arts did you teach or did you work with?
A lot of different ones. When I was younger, it was Hapkido, which is like joint locks, pressure points, Tang Sudo, very similar to Taekwondo. And then we also did Judo, Kabuto, which is like a Japanese weapon system. And then the last probably 10, 15 years of my life has been Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. So like the school that I run right now is a Muay Thai and kickboxing school for kids though. So it's all like video game themed. They're in experience points to get belts. The belts look like skins in a video game. So we're trying to make martial arts cooler than it has been.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay. So the mastery of the physical is what you've been doing.
Yeah, you could say that.
The flow of the body and the elements and how the body interact with the environment of the physical.
I think it's just as much the mental too, though.
Right.
Because the physical doesn't get better without the
you can't, right?
The mental, and you know that better than anyone.
I only say that because there's a statement That's a very interesting statement that is hidden in one of the most powerful mystical literatures of the past. And it says, before you can ascend into spirit, you must descend into matter. The mastery of the physical. And then you're telling me you're going to help people master the spiritual. I'm seeing this natural progression.
It's interesting.
Yeah. I figure I'd point that out.
Yeah.
I mean, all of it involves the mental. Yeah. Okay. So what's after helping people, right? Writing that book, helping people experience that spiritual and get closer to God, two-way communication. What's after that? I'm intentionally asking that.
I don't think there is an after that. I think that's just what I want to do is help people. And I think it obviously starts at home with my kids and making sure that they're set up so they're not experiencing like the same generational flaws and errors and addictions that like ran through my family in previous generations. So making sure that they're helping to ensure that the last name Kifer means something more as they continue the legacy on. But I think it's also showing other people how to do that same thing and break cycles and break things on the spiritual side.
Have you heard of the name Larry North?
No.
He's a legendary gentleman for a good amount of decades, but like I think much of his work was, prior to the 90s and 2000s. He sold like millions and millions of copies of books. He's in the fitness space.
Okay.
But he was also a radio host. Worth looking him up.
Yeah.
I was just spending some time with him because he's practically retired and he's done a lot in the space of fitness. He's definitely the legend of the era. And our most recent interaction was him teaching people about forgiveness. It wasn't
beautiful.
fitness. It wasn't, and the way he talked about it, it's like, it's funny. My wife's like, "Oh, I don't ever see you cry." I'm like, "You just need to watch me listen to Larry talk," right? He just talked about forgiveness for like an hour, and it was so beautiful. And I'm curious, and I have a feeling that you already have that kind of effect on people. I'm curious. So it sounds like it's not a milestone. It's like the long term.
100%.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I don't see it as a box I'm checking off. It's like I feel like I've been called to bring millions of people to Christ and to help them understand the spiritual relationship that's available. I don't think it's something that I'm ever going to feel like I fully accomplished.
I got you.
Yeah.
So then here's my question. What happens when people resist?
That's expected.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I think my job is to not convince people. It's just to plant the seed and to do my best to live the example, which I know I'm going to fail miserably constantly, but I do my best to live the example and just plant the seed. And I think what our society needs more of right now is just love, like being able to just lead with love, show love to others, reserve judgment, and like just see them as their spirit. Because the thing that I keep realizing as I get older and have more conversations and deeper conversations with people, you don't realize how much trauma people go through growing up. Like I was at a men's retreat recently and everyone was sharing their stories and you look around the room afterwards and I'm like, man, I'm just so impressed that everyone is still here after hearing what they went through as kids, their upbringing, all of that. And when you start to realize that almost everyone has some sort of story like that, it sort of breaks down just like the instant judgmental view we get of people. And it makes it easier to approach them with love because you know that there's some brokenness that they're facing or they're wrestling with that is maybe why they're in the position they're in or why they act the way that they do. And honestly, like what I'm trying to get real good at right now is just asking Jesus to break my heart for people so that I can understand sort of who they are on a deeper level, just from simple interactions with them.
I'm going to ask a weird question then.
Cool.
What happens if people no longer resist you or what you say or do? What happens then?
Then I think that seed starts growing. I'm not the one growing it though. I want to be very clear on that.
I got you.
I'm the one planting it, but I think that allows for the growth to happen and the closeness and relationship with God.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay. So let's say not only do people not resist you, the moment they hear from you, they're like, oh, I get it now. My whole life I've been looking for this. And so it's like a fertile ground. The moment you plant the seed, it like springs up. If I may go down that direction,
Yeah, absolutely.
What happens then?
I think joy of the Spirit in me. And for them, I think they're going to experience joy of the Spirit at some point as well.
Yeah.
What the thing I get the most out of interactions with people is honestly just having spiritual conversations, regardless of what they believe.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's just an opportunity to be curious about their understanding, but also at the same time, just share with them about my experience and what's happened with me. So when I see them start growing, I think that's fulfilling. I want to be up in heaven and people coming up to me and being like, hey, I'm here because of that one conversation we had. During that conversation, I want it to be crowded because of the conversations I've had with people.
And I'm asking this question because when you said resistance is to be expected, right? And what I'm presupposing is if we go down the path of where there is no resistance, I get really curious about what would happen. And the reason I want to go down that path is, so there's this thing called reticular activation system, right?
The filter for your brain.
Yep. So if we expect and presuppose resistance, we will filter communication to create resistance. And it'll self-fulfill, right?
Sure.
So if you expect no resistance,
it'll also self-fulfill.
Yeah. I think your spreading of the seed would be even faster.
I agree. I think when I say I'm expecting resistance, I'm not thinking that there's going to be resistance with every action. I think I'm just prepared for when there is, more than anything.
It's like training to be a martial artist.
Yes.
You don't expect to fight every day.
Yeah.
But
you hope you never have to.
Yeah. Beautiful. So sounds like you won't have resistance because you're prepared.
I'm hoping it's going that way. I have no fear if there is resistance. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with to be able to do judo and jiu-jitsu, it requires a very flexible person in all aspects.
Yes.
And that flexibility, I'm certain that you will naturally carry over in your conversations. So I'm curious then, what happens? Because it sounds like you already started that work, right? Or starting
I feel like I'm a toddler right now in that work.
Got it.
I feel like the conversations, the things are happening pretty much daily without effort on my side in a lot of instances. I think getting the thoughts out of my head into the words that make the most sense and land on people's hearts is what I'm working on right now. And I think that's why I think writing this book is helping me with that process.
So why don't we take this conversation down the path of mental and communication jiu-jitsu?
Sounds good.
That would be fun, right?
Yeah.
Like, because in a way, that's sort of what we practice in our training, in our practice, whatever you call it, in our upgrade experience. We basically take someone down a path where they become so good at not just wrestling with their own thoughts, but submit and even overcome easily without force, right? It's being flexible and redirecting the energy. Sure. In fact, I should share this real fast for the audience and for you, since we did just meet. So there was a period of time that I was a missionary.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time. I was in New York City, and there were two things that happened prior to me becoming a missionary. One was, it was absolutely life-changing. I got to experience an aspect of life that I never thought to be possible, right? Spiritually, physically, and everything in between. Ton of healing. It was a magnificent experience. Secondly, I was taught. I was in a conference one time, and this gentleman, and I was like 17, 18 years old. I asked the question to this gentleman who was at the time CFO of American Express. And then I think he later became the CFO of Citigroup. And I asked him, so what's the recommendation you would give to a young person like myself who have no idea how I'm going to even achieve any goals, what would you recommend to me that would create almost inevitable success? And he candidly told me this. And I was very appreciative. He said, I sold, he said it in a metaphoric way, right? He's like, I persuaded and was able to sell religion. He's not really selling religion, but he's like, hey, this is where you learn how to sell something intangible. And the sales is not you're getting money from it. The sales is you getting satisfaction and joy in both parties. When you're able to help someone convert into being more spiritual and whatever their practices are.
Yeah.
And he said, you need to learn how to sell the intangible. And I was like, wow, profound. He's like, well, one of the best ways to do it is to become a missionary, or, to be able to share a message that isn't tangible, but there's tangible benefits.
Interesting.
So I committed to doing it, even though it was like, I did not want to do it. And I was leaving all my friends behind. Long story short, fast forward 2 years, I found myself feeling stuck because there's oftentimes too big of a gap between the spiritual and the physical for people. So I thought, what can I do to bridge the gap? And I realized what you said earlier, right? It's still mental, because the mental aspect is what is the bridge between the mental and the physical and the spiritual.
100%.
Right? And so I began to develop the system of upgrade. That was at its very infancy at that time. I was like, what can I do to help people get into a state where they actually are open without preconceived notions of what spirituality or how to succeed physically? I wanted to help build a bridge. And then I discovered the bridge, there's one critical component that I wish I had known as early as possible. And it's this aspect of the communication, the jiu-jitsu of communication. So if that's okay, let's go down that path. I'm curious. So this is a question. When you communicate to people how to become spiritual or how to experience that, what do you do, if I may? I mean, I know that's a super vague question.
Well, if you look throughout the Bible, there's a pattern that happens with a lot of the prophets. You see it with Samuel. You see it with Abraham, where before they hear from God, they make themselves available to God. So they say, here I am. And it usually comes in a moment of stillness and in quiet. And which is why I love what you said about how you have to work on your mind, because we have so much distraction right now, and it's nonstop. And until you can learn to manage the distractions and quiet your mind, your mind's never going to be able to interpret what your spirit is getting from God. Yeah. Because there's just, it's like being in Times Square on New Year's Eve and someone's trying to whisper 12 feet away to you about something. That's God.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah. So you're not going to be able to hear it. So I even teach with our own business clients, like every morning you should not be picking up your phone right away. You have all these tabs open in your brain already. As soon as you pick up that phone, you're just opening more tabs. Your brain never gets the chance to reset. So instead, keep the phone. I go outside in the morning right away, and minimum 15 minutes, I just sit in silence and I pray and I talk to God. Usually it goes more than 15 minutes, but that's allowing my brain to reset and just to have some quiet and stillness, because we don't have that anymore as society. Like everyone is just busy all the time. And I think it kills creativity. It kills innovation. It kills your ability to have clarity when it comes to decision-making as well. And then of course, the spiritual side, because the hard thing about communicating with God is God's spirit is communicating to your spirit, and it's talking about things that our mind cannot comprehend a lot of times. And then our mind is doing its best job to translate this into things that make sense, which is why sometimes when God talks to you, it doesn't make sense at first, because you're just like, I don't even know what that means. And then something happens maybe a couple months later and you're like, oh, I think that's what he was trying to communicate to me. But until we are able to still the mind and be able to hear the whisper from the spirit, like it's very hard to hear God.
Got it. So I can sense that you're using a lot of the skills that you have not only mastered in martial arts and running businesses to help people enter that spiritual realm, right? That aspect of their life.
Yeah.
Do you anticipate anything? I mean, I know you mentioned resistance, but you prepare for it. Like, do you anticipate anything that may slow you down?
I don't know if it's slow me down, but potential distractions.
Okay.
100%. I think anytime you are very open and outward about any religion or spiritual experience, it's hard for a lot of people to understand that have never experienced it before, or maybe just grew up without any good example of what that looks like or what that feels like. Even people that maybe are in a place where they just feel completely abandoned and they don't feel loved by anyone. It's hard for them to see anything different than that. And I'm sure people are going to, even when I talk about having conversations with God to my wife, sometimes like in my head, I'm like, I sound a little crazy right now because it still feels new for me, even though it's been a couple of years. So I can see people just being like, this guy is crazy. He's full of it. He's reading some fantasy book and talking to some believe God up there. And, it's funny. I see God push me to have conversations with Muslims and Mormons. And like, I have a friend, one of my best friends is very new age. I have a best friend that's Muslim. But the beautiful thing of it is, you get to hear different perspectives and you get to understand why they believe what they believe. And, for me, it's all education and how I can become better at communicating about what I want to teach people.
You know, I have a feeling, a sneaky suspicion that probably the best missionaries are the martial artists who learn different forms.
Possibly.
And you know, this suspicion comes as we're conversing and you're telling me the different forms you learned and the different ways of those forms and how they're utilized. I mean, like, I have some understanding of that. Mm-hmm. And you have physical experience of literally overcoming resistance with just the right amount of force or redirecting of that force.
Sure.
I suspect that you're going to be really good at this, if not already. And you're saying that right now there may be some feeling of, I wouldn't call it self-judgment, but it's just like, oh, maybe I sound crazy. Yeah. Right? Are you wanting to do it in large, like to a lot of people? Select group? What's your vision of this?
It's a great question. So I think the vision, this is another one where I feel like I sound crazy sometimes, but I think the vision is the vision that God has shown me. And like we put on a lot of business events and I've had 100 people at those events, but I've seen stages with millions of people, me speaking, other people leading people to God. I see it going to that point in some aspect. And I think the writing of this book, I think, is a big first step of that because it's something that outlives you. And it's a way that I can just take what God has taught me and share it with other people. And I think that's the step that's leading me to whatever is next after that.
Sounds like you're pretty clear about what's going to happen.
Yeah, I had to process it for a while because I was very unclear.
Oh.
Like I had one of my mentors, Taylor Welch, when I was going
Taylor.
through. Do you know Taylor?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going through a crazy couple of years. He was very influential in those, and especially spiritually. And I called him one day when I was like in the middle of a crisis, and I was like, "Oh, Taylor's going to tell me exactly what to do. He's so smart. Like he's got this." Didn't tell me anything to do. He just prayed with me, and in his prayer, he's like, the size of the problem in front of you is in direct proportion to the calling God's put on you. And that just like stuck with me for a while. And then there was this common thing that would happen where someone that was very spiritual would come up to me and just be like, you have the hand of God on you, or you have a spiritual calling on you. And I'm just like, I have no idea what that means. I'm like, every time I heard it was intimidating because I was like, what if I never figured it out? Or what if I never step into it? But the more I just sat in stillness with God and talked to him, the clearer it got over time. But it was probably a 2-year process of me getting clear on it before I really understood what it was. And it was a lot of me wrestling with God too, where I was like, you want me to write a book? I've never written a book before. I'm like, I've been close to you for 2 years and you're asking me to teach other people how to hear you. I was like, I don't have the same training as Taylor has had or some other people, or like our pastor at our church. I'm like, I have zero formal training. But then God starts having me read the Bible, and I start reading about plenty of people in the Bible that had zero formal training, but were still called upon.
Yeah, there are a lot of trainings out there for different things, and it's never the training that starts someone's fire. It's never the training. Taylor and I spend a lot of time together, actually.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Oh man, last time I visited him might have been almost 2 years. I was at his house and we were jamming on stuff, and we have a lot of fun together talking about different topics. Taylor's been at one of our trainings too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's like 3-4 years ago though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Time flies. So let me ask you this then. Let's say all of that happens easily and effortlessly.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, this message resonates. And they fall in love with what you share with them. That seed grows. They take good care of it. They nourish it. And it grows and grows and grows. And you literally convert millions. Let's say, when would you like to see that happen?
If I give you the safe answer,
just give me the gut feeling answer.
The gut feeling, which I already know is wrong, would be when I'm ready. But it's not about when I'm ready. It's about when God's ready. So,
well, he needs this instrument ready too.
Correct.
I think God's always ready.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I think, and that's the challenge. And it's funny because you see that with like tons of characters in the Bible where they're called before they're ready. And then they have to go through some forging and they end up stepping into their calling through the process. I would say when I'm ready, but I already know that it's not going to happen when I'm ready. It's going to happen before that. Because I already see God putting people around me for things I know that he's called me to do. And like I just got connected with a publisher that specializes in personal development and Christian authors. And I'm like, just the way we got connected, I was just like, all right, like all these pieces just keep falling in place perfectly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, even though I don't feel ready, it just shows again that like God's like, I got you. Let me get this for you.
What happens if you were to feel ready? I'm curious.
I think I would just put my foot to the gas pedal to the floor faster.
So if God's got your back, which I assume he does,
yes,
you could probably step on it.
I definitely could. I think my limiting belief comes in the book side because I feel like there's times where I can just sit down and write and it's like, it just flows. And then I read it afterwards. I'm like, oh, this is so good. Then there's other times where I'll write and then I read it the next day. I'm like, what did I write yesterday? So I keep telling myself I need to be more prepared, or I need to do more research, or I need to do X, Y, Z, which may be true. But I think that's what I'm wrestling with right now in this writing process. But I also see it as God just helping me get the wording right so I can speak clearly to more people. Yeah,
because when you write, you bring to the physical the non-physical thoughts, right?
Yep.
So let me go back to the question when. You said when you're ready, right? If you were to make a decision of when you'll be ready, because you're in command of your body, what would you say that timing is?
So I put a deadline on myself for August 21st, which is my birthday, of having the book completed and ready to send to the publisher.
Amazing. Yeah. You know, it's funny. Taylor's been asking me to write a book for ages.
Let's go.
Every time he sees me, he's like, have you written your book yet?
So he asked you that too. Cool.
Oh, yeah. He asked, because he leverages the books really well.
Yes, he does.
He writes. So he's very brilliant in that way. I'm curious then. So August 21st, you got your books magnificent. What happens next?
I let the publisher guide me on the launch process. And because I've obviously never launched a book before, so I'm going to rely on people smarter than me to help me with that. And then I just get more vocal about it. So we already have a plan in place that once the book is done, we're going to start trying to get on podcasts to promote it, and just get the word out there as much as possible. And I'm just hoping that I do God's mission justice. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I'm wanting to get really clear on what it looks like once you do God's mission justice, right? Because you're saying, I saw a glimpse as you painted that for me, like millions of people would be impacted, and you have not only yourself, but a team of people helping plant seeds and help people progress spiritually. Do you foresee any way of, I'm not saying that making it faster matters, but I'm just curious, do you foresee anything that may happen that could cause it to go faster just naturally or not so naturally?
I think I have to surrender the finances to God to make it go faster. But I think one of the things I keep doing is obviously I have other businesses, and I'm like, well, I can't just completely take my eyes off these businesses and focus on that thing. But I also don't think I necessarily need to completely take my eyes off of it to still do this successfully. So it's maybe just getting a little bit more clear on what the balance between the current businesses I have and this are. But I also feel like these businesses are also going to help fund the real mission.
Yeah. Are there any downsides? And I'm looking for some sort of a gut feeling answer. Are there any downsides for focusing on this mission?
The downside could just be that the other businesses don't perform as well because I'm shifting focus to this. But I would bet on myself that that's not going to happen because at heart, I feel like I'm a servant leader, and I want our clients to have the best possible businesses on the planet. So I know I'm not going to neglect the business like really at all because I want to see them succeed. And they've obviously put their faith in their investment in me coaching them. So I don't take that responsibility lightly. I want to see them become the best version of themselves, have great successful businesses, have freedom. And it's funny because a lot of what I'm doing in this new mission is crossing already over with my coaching. Because it was wrestling a little bit of like, do I start talking about God openly? Like, what if some people don't believe in God even at our business conferences? And it's just, sometimes the Holy Spirit's just like, hey, talk about me. And I'm like, you sure? And then sure enough, it happens. And, there's been no pushback from our clients. In fact, some of our clients are like, hey, I went to church for the first time, or I prayed for the first time. And I'm like, so even though I have these reservations in my head, every time I have one, God shows me that's really not a reason to not move forward.
Okay. So sounds like you've basically figured out that running your businesses and doing this will only be symbiotic, if not mutually beneficial, right? Are there any downsides of doing both that you perceive?
Gut feeling would just be like not being able to put everything into this. Because I'm one of those people that gets very obsessive when I do something. Like no matter what it is, like I want to be the best at it. I want to not even necessarily be the best, but be the best that I can be at it. And I don't really do anything halfway.
Yeah.
So that's where I can see me wrestling with myself a little bit as I move forward with this, because I'm going to want to just naturally go all in on this, which I don't think is a bad thing, but I need to navigate what that looks like.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the dichotomy doesn't need to be there, right? It doesn't have to be one versus the other. I think you can do both better than doing one separately.
I agree.
I'm curious then, is there a pro to not doing that now?
Not moving forward with this?
Yeah.
Not a pro that would make me fulfilled or happy or at peace.
Not one, right? No. Not even one.
Even if, let's say I don't do it and I make all the money in the world, I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to be fulfilled. Like
and that's why you're going down this path.
Yeah. And I think younger version of me maybe idolized money too much and saw that as success. And I got it. And I was like, all right, this is cool. But when you go through seasons that make it where the money doesn't do anything, you quickly realize that there's zero fulfillment in it. You get more freedom and can maybe go on vacations more and not stress about the problems that having money solves. But you quickly realize that it's not the end all be all. And it's funny too, because the more I focus on the Spirit, the less concerns I have about money, but the more abundance that comes into my life as a result.
Yeah, it's like driving. Sometimes driving unconsciously, Meaning your body naturally knows where to go, right? Like you've noticed many times you find yourself safely in the destination easily. But it's sometimes when we get really conscious, we start really thinking a lot about how we drive, where things get a little stressful. And same thing with martial arts, right? Isn't it about
100%.
muscle memories and learning to naturally respond or act?
Absolutely.
So applying that to helping people become spiritual, I'm curious, and I'm still probing to understand where the boundaries are and stuff. And are there things that you plan on doing and taking from what you've done in martial arts and helping people quickly learn the muscle memory of spirituality?
It's a great question. And I don't think I've ever even thought about the crossover with the two. Like I compartmentalize very like neatly in my brain. So like martial arts is sort of like over here, but I think the crossover in it is how you get someone to progress at it and how you get them to see visible improvement. Because teaching martial arts, like, it's not just commanding people like correct your knee, correct this. It's you just watch and observe, and you see what needs to be corrected. And not that I'm actually like correcting people in what I'm getting ready to do, but you just watch and observe first. And you have to approach me watching someone's technique with curiosity, so I can sort of understand what their mind is thinking as they're doing the technique and what I need to fix in their perception to actually fix the physical part of their technique. Whereas with the spiritual relationships, I think I'm never going to be the guy that's standing on the corner yelling at people, that like fire and brimstone guy. That's just not going to be me. It's going to be me just hearing you speak and observing you and trying to just let the Holy Spirit talk to me while I'm observing you. And really just being curious about what your philosophy is and what drives you and what might be keeping you from having a closer relationship with God. Because otherwise I'm guessing, and it'd be the same thing with like correcting the martial arts technique. If I'm not paying close attention, I'm just going to go down the checklist of what usually needs to be fixed, but then it may not be true for this individual.
And do your students resist you in martial art trainings?
No.
So you won't have resistance.
But it's also different in martial arts in the sense that you're teaching them to say yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. You're teaching them, like, especially like, it's probably less like this, like at my own school now, just because when I was a kid doing traditional martial arts, it's like you never question the instructor. You never ask if something needs to be fixed. Like we learn self-defense skills, and in my brain, I'm like, I don't think this would actually work. But you'd never say that to the instructor out loud because it's considered disrespectful. Right. So in that sense, in martial arts, you very rarely have students that are like, well, I don't think this is going to work or whatever, because you're creating that culture around it. Whereas I think if you try and we see that with religion where people get church hurt and stuff because you're just like, nope, like, I don't want to hear what you have to say. I don't want you to push back. Where my spiritual journey, as I was reading the Bible, I had tons of questions pop in my head. I'm like, why is God in the Old Testament different than God in the New Testament? And like all these normal questions. So it's sort of that same philosophy. Like if I had those questions, I should be curious about what their questions are, because otherwise I'm just yelling spiritual stuff at them.
So why do people obey in martial art classes? Why do they listen to you and follow instruction?
I think partly it's they know you've done it before, or you've had some level of success in it. I think more than anything, it's that they feel seen and know that you care about them and you want to see them succeed. Because there's great martial artists that are terrible instructors. And martial artists with way better technique than me that are still terrible instructors. And it's because they don't have the same level of love or care for the people that they're working with. It's a job for them. Or it's I don't know, just what they've always been doing. It may not even be their passion, right? So I think for me, it just always comes down to like, you have to like really care about the individual you're working with. We primarily focus on kids. And I'm always thinking about when I'm working with the kids, what are the things I'm instilling in them now that's going to affect them when they're 18, 19, 20 to help them make the right decision when their peer group is going this way with their decision making. So I'm always trying to think about like, what are how am I shaping their identity to be able to live successfully later on? And I think that's no different than when I'm talking to someone spiritually, because to me, your soul is like your spiritual identity. And I'm always thinking, how do I help them to just better shape their identity, because not everyone, I feel like most people have their identity wrapped up in the wrong thing. And as soon as that thing gets taken away from them, they feel lost. And you see this a lot of times when people have it in their job and they lose their business or they lose their job, they're just sort of lost afterwards. So I think the commonality between the two is like in martial arts, we're shaping their identity to help them be respectful, confident, give them mental toughness and in this new venture that I'm doing, in this new direction I'm going on, I'm still helping them shape their identity. It's just helping them attach it to something that doesn't matter what happens in their life. They're not going to feel lost or abandoned.
Yeah. And previous to today, you were compartmentalizing them separately, right?
Yes.
So I think you're sensing where I'm going with this. I'm intentionally mapping the resources that you have accumulated in martial arts, which there are tons, right? And the ability to grow, help other people grow those businesses, mapping it into spirituality.
No, it's already helpful.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Because why waste the resources you've accumulated? They can translate, but we just have to translate them, right? I suspect a lot of people are going to have no resistance towards you. That's just my hunch.
I'll take that.
Yeah. I think that here's why. Teaching martial arts to kids, not even adults, kids may seem very malleable, very open and easy to teach, but to many adults, they can't even manage talking to children, right? It requires insane amount of flexibility because they're very flexible. They can cry one moment to get what they want from mommy and daddy, but the next moment they got it, they smile. Adults don't do that.
No.
But being able to deal with people that are highly flexible requires more flexibility. So if anything, I think everything you've done has prepared you for this.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
The patience to work with 47-year-olds at the same time makes it much easier to have a conversation with one adult.
Yeah. And you probably dealt with parents too, right? Yeah. Obviously you had to.
Absolutely.
So to trust someone's children into your dojo, into your classes, that's even more trust than just one going to church.
Sure.
Right?
I would say in a way. Yeah. I'm like, now it's your eternal life that that I'm trying to get you to trust what I'm communicating.
When they're newbies, they don't know that it's their eternal life.
Yes.
They're just like, I'm just going to church for one Sunday.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen the video with the pastor who has got like a 20-foot rope and he puts a little piece of red tape on the end. And he's like, this is what most people focus on their entire life. And he's like, the rest of this is like your eternal life. And I'm like, when I saw that, it just put it all in perspective for me. I was like, this is what all we focus on. We never focus on what's coming afterwards like we should.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. And we live in a country where we report quarterly.
Yeah.
We look at things in the very short term. Most people, you ask them, most people, not all people, right? Hey, what are you doing next week or next month? Many of them don't even know, right? They may plan once a year of, I'm going to go on one vacation. That's, unfortunately, we live in a short-term performance type.
Yes, performance is the word.
You're going to help people step out of the just now, just short-term thinking into thinking about long-term and their spiritual welfare. I'm curious, what have you considered to be other obstacles other than resistance, which sounds like it's not even going to happen anyway? What would you say is your biggest?
So I'm pretty decent at inverse thinking. So I always try and think of like all the ways something can go wrong before I jump into it, just so I'm aware of those things.
Yeah.
Obviously, the opinions of other people could always, like, if I place too much emphasis on listening to the opinions of the wrong people.
Yeah.
But I feel like after I went through a couple of years ago, I heard plenty of negative opinions about me, and it almost dulled me to like just negativity, I should say, or placing value in opinions that don't really service me.
You should tell the audience, if that's okay, a little bit about what happened.
Yeah, so I'll try and do the Cliff Notes version. So I previously had a business partner. My business partner's son was at a Halloween party where a high school kid was murdered.
Oh, man.
And at first, I just thought it was like, oh, he was there. And then it started to, over time, turn into people accusing his son of murdering this boy with a few of his son's friends. So all of this is happening, and I'm pretty separated from this. Like, I obviously feel terrible just from the standpoint of a father, because I'm thinking about, like, if this was my own kid, how would I handle this type of thing? And we didn't have much information at the time, so it was just like I was just praying for him and his son a lot. And then over this time, we found out that my assistant had stole $50,000 from our company, like creating fake invoices, all sorts, like every way you could steal from a company, she did. So we found this out at the same time. So I texted her and I was just like, hey, I go, we found out that you've been stealing. I'm going to give you an hour to call me. Otherwise, I'm calling the police. So instead of calling me, she decided to start posting on social media, not saying outright, but implying that I was trying to help cover up this murder, which is like insanity, especially for someone that's worked with kids their whole life and helping kids to become their best. To be accused of something like that, like, really shook me. We found out she started going up to like all the news stations and like trying to get them to write the story. We had a bunch of reporters reaching out to us. Most of them were like, we're not taking this, because they looked into her background and found out she'd stolen from multiple companies she's worked for and not just ours. So that they saw this pattern and deemed her not trustworthy. One reporter decided not to do his due diligence or just ignored it and still published it. Within 24 hours, I had hundreds of death threats coming in via social, via email. The story got very popular, ended up getting shared with the New York Post, Daily Mail UK, became really like a national story. I had people like Dr. Phil reaching out to me. Like, it was pretty crazy. We lost half of our revenue in our businesses within a 30-day time period, just people canceling because they just assume what they're hearing is true. Over the point of 2 years, I got really dark. I started sitting in my backyard, smoking a lot of weed just to like numb emotion. And then I was at one point, the low point that sort of started my spiritual journey was sitting in the backyard, just thinking about my life insurance policy and like just contemplating doing the math and like, all right, well, at least my family won't have to deal with the stress. They're not going to have to deal with these threats coming in, and they'll be taken care of financially. We got a pretty good life insurance policy. Like, they'll be good. And
they wouldn't be good.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I was just trying to, I think, remove the pain instead of heal. So I was doing everything I could to make the pain stop instead of actually going through the healing process. And I think what a lot of people realize is the pain's going to be there regardless. So the decision is heal or not heal. It's the same with the physical wound, right? Like, even the healing process, there's gonna be some pain going through it, but it's better than not healing. So I pretty much was just like, I was like, all right, I'm paying like tens of thousands of dollars a month in legal fees at this point, and PR fees. And I just see my bank account going like this, and I see bills and debt going like this. Really, if you had asked me at the time to go move in the middle of the woods without any Wi-Fi for the rest of my life with my family, I would have been like, heck yeah, let's do it. So I was just looking how to avoid pain at that time more than anything. And that seemed like a good reason to do that. But then that same night, I was just like, you know what, God? I was like, I'm going to give this to you. I don't want it anymore. Take this burden from me. And that started to become like the first time that I started to feel seen by God. Like, God's always been there, but it was the first time I think actually it removed every distraction from my life to the point where I was just sitting in my backyard. Like, I'm losing my money, losing my businesses. I have friends that are no longer want to be associated with me because of the rumors going around. And I was like, I feel like I'm losing everything. So I'm like, there's quietness, there is stillness in that. And that was the first time that I started having conversations with God as a result of it. But it was pretty much like, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years of just negativity thrown at me because of this one thing, until it came out in court that she admitted there was never any cover up. And then all of a sudden it just disappeared like pretty quickly. Like, it was almost like, oh, well, it looks like that guy wasn't what we said it was. It's over, gone. And then through that, I also had to, like you were talking about forgiveness earlier, I had to learn to forgive her, and I had to learn to forgive a lot of people in that situation. And the beauty of it is, through the relationship with God, it wasn't just forgiveness. It was like, now I pray that they're blessed, which seems...
Pray for your enemies.
Yeah, because here's the thing. If God's blessing them, it means that they have a relationship with God. And if they have a relationship with God, it means they're probably not doing as much of the negative stuff that they were doing during that period. which means they're also living a more fulfilled life, hopefully.
Mm.
So I think forgiveness is step one. I think praying for their blessing is the next step.
So I'm curious. That obviously sounds like a crazy event.
Yeah.
Not fun to go through at all whatsoever, right? Would you have started your spiritual journey without it?
I don't think I would have. I think I was too caught up in just success, and also just like I was never outwardly selfish. Like I did that. I never saying like, oh, I did this, I built this. But I think internally, I would like our family didn't grow up with money, so like there was multiple.
You were proud of it.
Yeah, I was super prideful of it, and I think that's what was sort of fogging my vision. And also, I had been brought up that performance is what gave me attention and love. So when I was younger, like my dad would really only show me attention if he could brag about something I did. So it started to like show me over time that like, oh, if I perform at a high level, then I get admiration, I get love, and I feel seen. So what this did is it removed that stronghold in my mind that performance is the end all be all and my identity is tied in this, and completely stripped it away. And when I had no identity in performance anymore, it's like, all right, well, who am I now? Like, what am I because of this? And luckily that's when I found God, and I'm like, oh, okay.
So I'm going to ask you some weird questions then. So obviously you appreciate the spiritual journey and now your relationship with God. And if this event weren't going to happen, if it didn't happen, you may not be where you are now, right?
Absolutely.
Now, if you could arrive here without that event, would you have chosen that path?
Only in the sense of if a teenager didn't have to die, yes. Yeah. Like, and I'm not saying that's the reason he died or anything like that.
Right. No one would have wished that upon anyone.
To save the family that had to deal with that. And
oh my gosh, I can't even.
And the hurt of my family.
Yeah.
I would say yes, but for what it burned off of me and forged in me, no.
So pause right there. That's where my question starts to get a little weirder, okay? Mm-hmm. So assuming everything outside is fine, like let's say their family and no one's hurt. Let's just assume for a moment, right? Obviously, unfortunately, and my condolences to the family. Assuming nothing outside, whether they were hurt or not hurt, maybe nothing changed externally. If you didn't have to go through this, don't think about anyone else. If you didn't have to go through this, but you still was able to forge this relationship with God, would you want to have gone through that or chosen to have gone through that?
Yes.
You would have chosen to go through that?
Because even with the relationship of God, I would not have gained wisdom, the same wisdom, emotional intelligence. I think there were so many character traits that were forged stronger going through this. That just having the relationship with God, like that's the best part by far. Yeah. But I think
what's the percentage of in terms of benefits? Sorry, I wanted to interrupt quickly. So the percentage out of 100% when it comes to all of the lessons, learning, wisdom, benefits, blessings. Let's say it's 100%, total. What's the percentage being relationship with God and the rest of it?
Oh, geez, that's a tough question to answer. Well, here's what I would have to say. I would say the relationship with God is probably what forged those things. So probably 100% in that case, because I think it's not about what happens to you, it's how you respond to what happens to you. And I think if I didn't find the relationship with God, I could have very easily just lived in it, like lived in the hurt. Because I was in survival mode. And I think I would have just remained in survival mode, which means no growth, no abundance, because I'm just doing the bare minimum to get by continually. So I think that the relationship with God is what reframed that and showed me that, like, hey, there is good in this. And then most of the reflecting up into that point was, why me? Why did these people do this thing to me? Like, what did I do to deserve this type of, and it was all like me focused, which leads to victim mentality if that continues looping enough. Whereas once relationship with God happened, it wasn't like the me stuff. It was, I would open up the Bible and I'd read Psalm 4 and see Daniel crying out, why are my enemies still thriving and I'm suffering?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that was me a couple months ago. And it just started to relate to me. And then I started to pull lessons out of it and the lessons through the conversation. So I don't know if the character would have increased even close to what it is now without the relationship with God.
So 100% is relationship with God.
Yep.
And the extra bonuses are all of the character traits and
100%.
wisdom and all the other things that were forged.
Yep.
So let's say, let's presuppose we went back in time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you got all of those things ahead of time. Do you suspect there may be a possibility that that event wouldn't have had to happen?
Mm.
This is a real question, right? Just a gut feeling that I'm curious for.
I feel like I would have been better prepared for it.
Okay. Less impact negatively.
Yes, but there's going through experience forms the character traits differently than just developing them from like working on yourself and reading books. Because
I'm not saying not having the experience.
Okay.
All I'm saying is because the experience led to all of those benefits, lessons, wisdom,
Sure.
right? Let's say somehow we're able to install that early and you have all of it.
Mm-hmm.
You're likely going to have different trials or not have some of those, right?
Yeah.
I'm just checking to see, because this is not so much of a question of, can we change the past?
Sure.
This is more of a question of preemptively looking into the future. It's like learning martial arts. You don't fight and then, let's say you won but got bruised up. You don't not learn from that, which
Sure.
you did learn from it.
I just see the world differently now,
Yeah.
having gone through that. And I feel like I have a lot more patience for people. I have just a different look at people because like there's a lot of people afterwards that were like, I didn't even know you were going through that. Like when they heard the story, and I'm like, how many people do I see on a daily basis that they're going just through something crazy and nobody knows about it and they're just carrying that. And also just the number of people that have reached out to me once they heard the story and telling me what they're going through. And I'm like, what I went through is nothing compared to what you're going through. And it gives me more empathy for people. Because especially when you're running companies, it's very easy to lose empathy.
Is it?
I think it can be because especially when you start focusing just on numbers. I think I've been fortunate to like see people as people, but also I know there's times looking back that I should have had more empathy in different situations. And it's a fine line with running a business, right? Because there are people that will take advantage of you, but there's also just people that are like, life's happening and they're dealing with some stuff and you can still have empathy for them and just not have them at your company. But I think a lot of business leaders miss the empathy part.
So let's say you got the empathy.
Yep.
I'm applying pressure right here, right? Because let's say you got the empathy, you got all the lessons. I mean, think of someone coming to martial art training. It's a simulation.
Sure.
It's not real life. There's not, I mean, yes, real life, but it's not real life in a sense that there's no real.
They're not in danger.
Yeah. It's not like somebody's actually trying to hurt them, right? But that's how you prepare for real life. So what I'm really proposing is not so much like not having the experience. What I'm proposing is, what if there's a way to simulate the experience without the real pain, but you're still experiencing all of it to gain the wisdom, to gain, and some say this life is that for in the eternal perspective, right? I'm looking at it in a microcosm. Like if we were to presuppose there's a way to create a micro simulation that allows you to pick up not only lessons that would have landed you here, right, without the pain, but the past is the past.
Sure.
Now I'm curious, what if we can look at the future and collect the lessons ahead of time?
I'm all for that. Yeah.
Right?
That's why I feel like I've been obsessed with personal development and mindset work and all that stuff for most of my life. Is I want to be able to get those qualities and traits at a higher level without necessarily waiting for something bad to force those things to happen.
So Taylor, our mutual friend, and I had a deep discussion about what he experienced. And I think you may
Yes,
know what
yeah.
I'm talking
Yep.
about, right? It was a fiasco for a couple of
Yeah.
years. And when did you meet him?
So I met Taylor right
Before or
before
after?
that. Right before that happened.
Oh,
And it was funny because he was just like my business coach at the start, and then
he became your
transformed to my
spiritual.
spiritual coach. Yeah. And it was, the timing was pretty crazy too, because when I went through the stuff I went through was right after he had just pretty much wrapped up the stuff with the FTC. He's talked about it on his podcast, so I feel okay mentioning it. So I almost felt like I was like, oh, God put me near him because he knew Taylor was going through some stuff, and now Taylor became equipped to help me go through my stuff, and it was just sort of interesting on the timing of everything.
I'm going to say something super controversial
Sure.
and something very, very unique. And I think that people like yourself or Taylor would appreciate.
Mhm.
You know, it does require intelligence to process what I'm about to say, which I think will be easy for you. And the audience, I think this would be fun to consider what I'm saying. Humans assimilate, meaning when we get near other people, we observe patterns
Mhm.
that they go through. And oftentimes we naturally assimilate what they experience. So not saying that you created this to be close to him, not at all what I'm
Sure,
saying,
sure.
right? And it could be what you said, it could be you were placed there to prepare for something, so
Yeah.
you're more prepared. Also, the mirror neurons that we have, we tend to mirror what people go through, right?
Yep.
Depending on what state you were in, if you were in an altered state mentally, and by listening, and Taylor has the best of intentions. He's a wonderful,
Absolutely.
So sometimes with the best of intentions, when we're near other people that have experienced tragedy or hard
Mhm.
times, because of the empathy, because of maybe their mentors, maybe their close friends or family, the mirror neuron fires off to unconsciously filter out experiences and filter in experiences that may become similar.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I almost see it like almost like frequency matching
Yeah.
in a way, right?
Now, I'm bringing this up because what I just said 2 minutes ago, how do we prevent future events without the pain, but still
Sure,
gaining the
sure.
wisdom? This is going to sound pretty funny, but it's actually one of the most specific feedback I would give to anyone who experienced a hard time. Be watchful of what state you're in when you're hearing a story from someone else.
Sure.
Like for the audience who are hearing the story, right? And anyone who's been through our experience, upgrade experience, I always share a story and I will either before or after and say, we are all safe and healthy
Yeah.
from experiences like this.
Hmm.
Because when we empathize, especially individuals who are intelligent and empathetic, we want to feel for them.
Mm.
And sometimes because of that desire to
Put our mind in a different state.
Yep.
Yep.
And it changes our reticular activation
Mhm.
system. So that the reticular activation system doesn't just say, oh, this is a similar experience, I'm going to run into it. No. It works like this. It works like, okay, let's say you now set up your RAS to become a billionaire. Let's just say that for a
Mhm.
second, right? And you not only are going to be a billionaire, but you're a philanthropist. You're helping people. You're bringing spirituality to those who need it and want it, and even those who haven't considered it. So you're doing a lot of wonderful things for the population. Let's say that's where you're going. Well, there will be a lot of people that want to get close to you. When they hear your story, they may assimilate.
Mm.
They might be like, oh, he's gone through that. Their mind's going to look years in advance or months or weeks in advance to look for a pattern to generate a similar experience so they can go through the same lessons.
Do you think that happens more with people that stay in that survival mindset? For example, like if
Just
you're
alter states.
Yeah, if you're around someone that's going through something traumatic, but you don't see them growing through it, do you think the people around them are more susceptible to mimicking that pattern than if they see someone in it and growing through it?
I think it depends.
Okay.
It depends. So first off, if you're in an altered state, anything someone else tells you becomes a suggestion.
True. Yep.
So rather than just someone else's story, if the mind's in a susceptible state,
Yep.
it It becomes,
I get what you're saying.
Right? A suggestion.
It's when I heard Oprah's story the first time, I automatically started thinking, I was like, man, she went through all that and is where she is. And I'm like, do I need to experience something like that to like be that successful?
No.
So I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's a pattern matching, right? So that because we're like, okay, if they got to point B from point A and this is how they get there, then I find how to start point A or even the precursor of part A, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So one of the general patterns to prevent future pains is to, well, certainly learn from other people that are very successful.
Sure.
But avoiding their pain along the way by not being overly empathetic and or in an altered state. So this is very, very specific, but it's dangerous because, I mean, you're an extremely empathetic individual. And
now I am.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And back then, maybe you were less, but you were suggestible to your mentor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because how could you not, right? Well, otherwise, you wouldn't hire someone as a mentor. So, yeah, I think that he was warning people rather than having people go through the same journey, but sometimes when you're suggestible at that time.
Yeah. It's interesting because I don't think I knew what he was going through until I was going through my stuff. Because that's when he started becoming more open to it because it was getting past the legal side of things.
And how long was your experience through this?
Close to 2 years.
Ah, interesting timing.
Yeah.
Interesting time frame.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably, yeah. It was, I think April of last year was the first time that I was like, oh, I think we're finally, like we can see the horizon of all the bad stuff being done happening and we can start rebuilding now.
I'm happy for you that you're on this side now.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
I noticed that I have a feeling that you won't experience that again.
I don't think so either.
Because not only because of you having learned it and now you've overcome things that would have taken years for other people, if not decades.
Yeah.
You could handle it clearly because of your character and who you are, right? Already. The other thing is, I think this conversation, you've also noticed you don't need to do that again. And I also noticed that since you're starting to write the book, right? How far are you?
I'm about, I have all the chapters mapped out. I have 3 fully written chapters in the introduction right now.
I think that let's take the remaining of the podcast down a certain direction because suggestibility is one of the most powerful tools that'll bridge the gap between spirituality and physical reality,
Sure.
right? So I'm not saying that you were suggestible and therefore it happened. I'm not saying that. It could be just a correlation. Yeah. It could be, people mirror each other, matching frequency, whatever we call it. It happened. You learn from it. You're good now. What I'm bringing up is it would be nice for people to read your book because what they're going to experience is not what you experience, but they're going to learn the lessons. That's the whole point of the book, right? So you could transfer knowledge and wisdom through that construct of a book. They can download the map without having to
live it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now, specifically, if suggestibility is a thing, because when someone reads your book, they are very suggestible.
Sure.
I'm curious, what kind of suggestion would you want your audience to have so they don't have to experience the pain, but they get the equal value of your lessons, which means you're going to bless millions of lives?
I think it starts with getting them to understand how much God loves them. Because I think a lot of people are going to read the book are feeling abandoned or lost, or maybe they once believed in God, or maybe they still believe in God, but just don't have a close relationship with him. And it's, I always think about what are the odds that every single thing throughout your entire bloodline had to happen the exact way at the exact right moment for you to be here right now. And not only knowing that God intentionally made all of those things happen, knowing that you'd be who you are. And at the same time, God knew that we would turn our back on him. He knew that we would sin. He knew that we would do all sorts of terrible things as humans. And he saw all of that and still said, I still want to make sure that person gets to experience my love.
Mm.
I think when people start to realize how much intentionality, because like we understand human love, sort of, not even fully in my experience, but to experience divine love is, it's almost mind breaking sometimes when you really try and fathom it.
Mm. Mm.
Because you have a God that was outside of time and space before anything was created. He saw you and said, I'm going to make sure that I create time and space, create all the laws to make humans possible to even be alive, sun at the perfect distance, making sure that all the right things are in place just so you can experience my love.
So it sounds like you'll go through a certain process to teach them love that's divine in nature.
And to just get them to realize that God's just not like some dude in the sky that's like a cosmic vending machine that we can just punch a couple buttons and
That's a great
ask for what we
metaphor.
want. It's someone that like loves you more than you can even describe. Yeah.
And you got to experience that love through the process.
Yes.
So if you could transfer that love, many people don't have to go through the pain.
Correct.
And if you could transfer the wisdom, they don't have to go through the pain.
Correct.
Hmm.
And I think they would also realize that love can heal a lot of pain.
So I'm going to ask you a really wild question then.
Sure.
Let's say you were born with these wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you were born, you have perfect recollection. Or maybe at least when you were 5, you fully realize all the learnings that you currently have. And I'm asking this for a very specific reason.
Sure.
And how old are you now, if I may ask?
40.
40. So in the last 35 years, you were building upon what you know now when you were 5, right? What would happen in the last 35 years? You think it'd be different, obviously, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what would have happened in the last 35 years?
I don't think I would have gone down the martial arts path.
Okay.
I think if I had this knowledge, then my mission would just be sharing the good news with everyone and helping everyone to have a relationship with God. It would be every one-on-one conversation, just paying attention and observing and planting the seed so that at one point they come back and they're like, hey, last time we talked, you said that thing. But what did that mean? Tell me more about that. And
so would have begun your journey of taking people spiritually
much
to
sooner.
God, even, much sooner.
Mm-hmm. And I also think I would have been, I just would have been more bold earlier.
Okay.
Because I think even through this journey early on, I was like very hesitant to talk about Jesus or God out loud. And then I'd hear stories about friends that are pastors and they go, I had a friend that got asked to go to a political event and lead prayer. And they're like, but you can't say the name Jesus. You can only say God. So I'm like hearing stories like this. So in my head, I just went through losing a whole bunch of clients with this experience. And I'm like, well, now if I start talking about Jesus, am I going to lose a whole bunch of more clients? So it took some time for me to just not really care and just be bold and being like, knowing that I'm doing this from a point of love and wanting what's best for them. And that it's not my job to convince anyone of anything, but just plant the seed and let God water it.
So then let's do that same exercise. Fast forward 35 years, right? Let's say you're 75. You've gained the wisdom of another 35 years from this point. What would you likely know or have known for a while by then?
I think I would just have a better understanding of life, the universe, cosmos, God's design for everything. I think in my conversations with God between that and like being in the Word, there's just things that get revealed that I'm just like, is that accurate? And then I'll talk to someone who's like an expert in that area, or I'll do more research on it, and it all starts lining up with what God revealed to me. And I'm like, all right, like there's a lot of things I don't understand that He's trying to get me to understand. And I just think with that wisdom, you have more conviction, even more conviction. You can guide people better. I think I'll just be more efficient at what I'm trying to do now. But also, I feel like at 40 years old, it's the first time I had peace in my life. So I can't imagine what that'd be 35 years from now. It'd just be more, which I'm cool with.
Yeah. So imagine if you could somehow download that construct from when you were 75 and put it into your 5-year-old self.
Absolutely.
What would happen for another 35 years later? If you were 5 and you got what you would have gotten at 75, right? And then you progress another 35 years and here you are in your body, what would have happened?
Millions of people would have been, it would be a revival is what it would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Tell me more.
I just think I'd already be in front of millions of people, speaking to them about God and the relationship he wants to have with them and how to hear them. See myself doing workshops with hundreds of people, getting the entire room to hear from God at the same time. Multiple books, just
probably more.
Yeah, just helping people to understand God's intention, his design. And I feel, I don't know whatever reason, I feel drawn more to helping people that are either once Christians or once believers in God and have lost their way. And also just helping people that maybe just never had it. Like Taylor and I talked about this. Taylor is speaking to Christians mostly right now.
Yeah.
And helping them get deeper understanding, which I'm super grateful for. But he's like, I think you're meant to be Paul. You're supposed to speak to the non-believers. And I sort of feel that because I felt like I was so far away from like having a spiritual relationship. Like I went to Christian school. I memorized Bible verses as a kid. I prayed. I was never taught to that God will actually speak back to you if you give him space to, or if you ask him questions. So I identify with maybe what a lot of people were taught wrong about having a relationship with God. And I don't think any of it was intentional. Like, I don't think whoever taught them the Bible intentionally taught them incorrectly.
Yeah.
I just think there's a different understanding when you have the relationship and why you read the book.
So let's say that's 100 years of wisdom currently inside of you. Because we're taking 35 years in the future, putting it into 5 and then compounding it over the last 35 years, right?
Sure.
We're just imagining for now.
Yep.
With that imagination, I would assume not only what you just said would happen, there would be probably more and more other wonderful events, right? May I make a strange, some would even say unlikely proposal?
Sure.
I suspect that 105 years of wisdom, because like you said earlier, time is not, it's a construct for humans. So applying the same frame of God's love, you, I think, can download all of those 105, God willing, right? If you were to receive that, like right now or in the next few days,
sure,
what would you do differently?
I don't think I'd care about my businesses whatsoever.
Oh, interesting.
Honestly.
Because you would know how to have abundance massively.
Yes.
You wouldn't have any fear or doubt or anxiety of any kind.
No.
Because God can take care of the lilies on the field, right?
100%.
How could he not take care of you, right?
Yeah.
Again, applying the same logic that we've been using, I would suspect that you'd be taken care of.
100%.
Now, I'm not going to give you financial advice, of course, right? But this is a suspicion that, how do you feel about that?
I think it's accurate.
Oh.
Yeah.
So your mind being open to those suggestions coming from a divine source would save you 100+ years.
Yeah, I think where I get stuck is I'm telling myself that I had a strong fear of money coming out of that situation because I made all this money and then I almost lost all of it in just a couple of years. So I had this fear around money for a little bit where I was like, all right, if I get more money, I'm just going to lose it again. But that's dissipated as I've gotten more spiritual.
Is it gone or is it?
It's not gone completely.
Where is it? If you were to know your body stores a program that tells you that it would be gone, right? Where is that inside of you? Don't think about it. Just point for me.
Yeah, if I go all in on this, then that'll happen. I think is where it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
So if you go all in on what?
Just fully evangelizing. I'm never going to be a preacher.
And money would be all gone, or the belief would be all gone?
Oh, I think that's where the fear of money comes back in.
Oh.
Because we had a Like we emptied out our entire life savings during that to make sure we could keep paying our people and all of that stuff. So I was like, if the businesses are gone, that means no money's coming in. And that's where I'm having trouble wrestling and relying solely on God for that. But I felt God pushing me to sell the agency, so that it was a no-brainer. We did it. I didn't really care about the timing or anything. He literally told me the exact number I was going to get for it, and it was the exact number I got, and said not to worry about it a penny more. And I feel like when he wants me to move away from the business that I have, I'll get a similar feeling.
So the fear of money being gone would disappear if you were to go on. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think it would increase.
It would skyrocket.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And it
so
shouldn't.
That's the Goliath.
But I think that's the thing I'm wrestling with now.
That's the Goliath.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
But I'm also confident that that's going to be temporary.
Yeah. I have a suspicion, again, when you overcome that, everything will lock. I mean, what do you think?
I agree. 100%.
Because that sounds like the one thing that's holding you back from going all in on what you believe to be your mission.
Correct. I would say it's that and feeling prepared.
Feeling prepared. I think when that's gone, you'll feel prepared, right? Would you? Or no?
I don't know. I think just because like being around
just those two things.
I think those are it. Honestly,
you want to remove them now?
I'm sure. I'd be happy to.
It will take no more than 5 minutes. So this is a very simple exercise, and I'll just explain real fast because I know the audience is having fun listening to this, and we got to this point. I think we've identified the two things to remove. Mm-hmm. So our body stores these feelings, these programs, but they usually are very intangible. We don't know necessarily how to interact with them because there's no form, no boundary.
Sure.
But the beauty of our mind is we can actually create a form for it by imagination, sort of like representing where they are. It's like when you interact with a computer. In the old days, it's all codes. Unless you're an expert user, you may not know how to delete a file. But nowadays, even kids can be handed an iPhone and they can drag and drop because there's a visual representation you can interact with, right? So the first step we'll take, very easy, is if you were to close your eyes for me for a second.
Okay.
Imagine inside your body there's that program of fear of money. Where is it? Use your right hand to point. Don't think about it. Just point. What color is it?
Black.
Size and shape? Can you show me with your hands?
I like that.
Texture and material?
It's moving around like gas.
I want you to reach in with your right hand. Imagine you reach in all the way and grab onto the core. And I want you to give it a little squeeze. You should have intensify that feeling a little bit. If you feel that, give me a head nod. Good. Now I want you to grab it even tighter and notice all of the things that are connected to it that are no longer serving you lights up. And in 3 seconds, we're going to yank it out and throw it away, okay? In 3, 2, 1, physically yank it out and throw it away. Do you smell popcorn?
No.
Now, when you look inside and notice the fear of money, where is it? Is it gone?
Right. There's like trails.
Trails.
Yeah.
So from 100% previously to where is it at now?
Like 20%.
Great. Let's do another round of removal and get it to 0. You ready for it?
Sure.
Unless there's a reason not to remove it all the way.
No.
Okay, good. Close your eyes real fast. Notice all the trails lighting up and bundling, coming together, accumulating itself. Where is it? Just point for me. What color?
Still black.
Still black. What texture and material?
Same.
Size and shape?
Smaller.
Okay. I want you to reach in and grab onto that completely and notice anything that's not serving you that's connected to it lights up again. And in 3 seconds, I want you to hold on to it and grab it and then throw it away. In 3, 2, 1, throw it out there. Do you smell popcorn?
No.
Okay, so...
A little bit, actually. That's weird.
Okay.
Is that normal?
It is normal.
Okay.
So what's the percentage at? Is it 0 yet?
It's probably like 1-2%.
Ooh, there's 1 to 2%. Where is it? If you were to know, close your eyes real fast.
Higher.
Okay.
Like,
there we go. What color is it?
Like purplish black.
There we go. Okay. That was the hidden one. So what's the size and shape?
They're just small, thin Trail.
Perfect. And now I want you to notice in your hand, there's an imaginary vacuum. And I want you to turn it on. And I want you to put it right against your neck and suck out all of the trail, all of the little remnants, all of it, even the ones you didn't notice previously. In 3, 2, 1, suck it all out. And throw it away. Do you smell popcorn?
Not as much as last time.
Okay. Now, where is the trail? Where's the rest of it? Is it all gone?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was easy, right?
Yeah.
That was creating a mental construct around something intangible and then removing it because you can now interact with it, right? So what I invite you to do after this podcast is to use the same technique and remove the other one.
Got it.
Not being prepared, right?
Sure.
Now, you may need to do a little digging of what does that mean? What is that specifically? What is that label? And then remove it. And it will get to a point where you get to 0. And I would suspect, and please keep in touch, I would suspect some really magnificent things will occur. Not a promise, but I suspect
Sure.
once you let go of those 2 things.
I agree.
Perhaps something as simple as, which is not so simple, but it's wonderful, your writings will come effortlessly. It will just flow out of you. And you will look at them and you'd be proud and impressed. And you'd be like, wow, these are not my words. These are words of God's, right? Inspired through you, right? Being an instrument in the hands of God, right?
Sure.
And some other wonderful things may happen. I suspect.
Me too.
So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was great.
Yeah, that was indeed really fun getting to know you. I feel like I got to experience a lifetime of progress, just hearing how you navigate through that, right? And I think that people who are listening will find not only great wisdom, but also at the end of the day, there are some things we can find, and it may be something small, maybe something big, that's keeping us from gaining 100-year worth of wisdom.
Mm.
And most of us who are listening or watching have experienced certain things in life that has brought us forward many, many years, if not decades, in progression, sometimes very painful things. But I believe that the hero's journey is only to be lived once, not twice.
Amen to that.
Not twice, right? So my goal was to help you prevent that by removing the very things that not even removing, but more like gaining the things that you would have created, earned, or learned in the future. But if you didn't, it may cause something else physical.
Sure.
But we remove that almost like 100 years in advance. So it mitigates risk over a long period of time. I think you can see what we were doing 100%. There. And I think that the audience, if you really consider what's inside of you that has brought you to this point, if you've already experienced a hero's journey, I recommend that you look inside and see, what would I learn in 100 years that if I can pick it up now, I could remove, reduce, minimize the pain, but still get the same lesson. Thank you so much for being on with me.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. And we'll see you in the next episode.